Okay, we're here with the Dan Stewart, Chester first team manager, looking ahead to the game at Wollaston on Saturday. Dan, obviously, first of all, just want to touch on kind of the game last week away at Corby. You lost 3-2. I know there's a lot of changes. Do you want to talk us through that game?
Yeah, I think obviously at this level, well, any level, you're only as good as your availability. Unfortunately for us at the weekend, we're a bit light on numbers. However, that does afford opportunities for players that might not necessarily have played a lot of football, reserve players and a couple of younger youth team players that we got on the books. In terms of the game, pattern of play, how we were, I was actually happy despite the scoreline. Young Kadeem up front ran his socks off. He made a good account of himself, led the line well. Markey coming in from the reserves again up front, he led the line really well. I think where we come up short really was the inability to make the changes from the bench. I think, yeah, that's kind of where we come up short. I mean, Corby, they're a good side, physical. The lad up front, Adam Witowski, was a constant threat in behind. But overall, on reflection of the game, I think maybe a draw. If we come away with a draw, it would have been a fair result. And I'm assuming you're referring to maybe some of the incidences that happened during the game that I'm probably do best not to touch on and let the powers that be look into what's going on there. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously looking forward ahead to this weekend, it's the fourth game away at Wollaston this year already. Obviously we've played them once in the league away, which we won 4-1. We also had the abandoned game, unfortunately, due to Jordan Lamming's leg break, and then the replay in the Junior Cup, which we won 4-0. What kind of challenge does that set you, the fact that you've got the fourth game, you've won two of them quite convincingly? How do you think Wollaston are maybe going to approach the game to try and get a different result?
I think it's not necessarily going to be anything tactical. I think it's going to be mentality-wise. I mean, Goose is a good coach, he's a good gaffer, so he knows what he's talking about. He's been around a long time, a lot longer than I have, and he's managed at a higher level than I have as well. So he knows what football's about. On the day, the two occasions, obviously, bar the one where Jordan had that serious injury when it was actually 1-1 and very much in the balance. But the other two where we scored 4 goals on both occasions, they had spells. We just managed our box better than they managed their box. I would expect they will come flying out of the blocks this weekend. There may potentially be some tactical changes, but again, I think it's by the by. It's a local derby, it's a cup game, it's a one-chance shootout. So I think they'll come out at us. We've just got to make sure that, like the previous two occasions, that our mentality is right first and foremost. We compete on all fronts. The message that I always give to the lads is matching teams is not enough. We have to be better in all departments. So that's kind of how we're going to approach the game. How they approach the game is obviously entirely down to Wollaston and their gaffer. So.
Yeah, final question obviously before the weekend. Have you got any kind of update on team news? Obviously, like you said, there's lots of injuries last week, etc. Lots of young lads that are struggling. What are we looking like for this weekend, and any updates on people like Camacho and Levon, etc.?
Yeah, just touching, Levon and Camacho are both in the squad for this weekend. They'll both have fitness tests before the game, and obviously at training as well, just to see how they get on. Fingers crossed, touching wood, all that sort of stuff. They will both be fit and firing. In terms of other long-term injuries, Tom Bunting is still out long-term. We've got Josh Kearney still out long-term. There's a number of long-term injuries. Obviously, Jordan Lamming is another one. But again, it's afforded opportunities around the squad. This weekend we've managed to get in 5 under-18 players, which for me and the coaching staff is a big coup, and it is for the club as well, because it gets to show off the young talent that we've got around the squad. Notable names again, Kadeem, Kean, King. You've got Levon, Stewart as well. So young Jake Morrissey's coming into the fold, and obviously Kelvin the goalkeeper. So it's good to have these young players available and actually pushing the more senior members of the squad for starting positions. Obviously we've got the skipper back, Robson Kitely. Lewis Leslie's back, so the spine of the team's now back in there as well. So I'm hoping that we can get back to winning ways this weekend and progress to the next round of the Cup.
Brilliant. Thank you for your time this evening, Scouts, and all the best.
Cheers.
On Saturday.